policy and implementation. It's time for another DJ Elf 7 candidate interview.
What the hell is going on?
Yo, what's up? It's your boy DJ Elf 7. As you know, I'm interviewing all the candidates running for different positions now. Today I have a special guest. New York guests are always of special interest. And we have a special other connection, so we're going to find out about that in a moment. But I'll let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
I'm running, hoping to be, and will be, the first forwardist, a member of the Forward Party represented to Congress in 2022, who is also coincidentally the 6th great-grandson of Richard Henry Lee, who's the man who proposed that we break free from Great Britain and form the United States of America in June of 76, before the Second Continental Congress. And I just got back from an amazing trip with my oldest son, who I had previously gone to Obama's inauguration with, as what I thought was a historic moment. And this trip felt like a document of primary source history that is to be. You know, I'm hoping to create this future where I win, where it's not just a dream. There is a community of like-minded people who are frankly fed up with a binary choice, a black-white choice, a yes-no choice, a Republican or Democrat, a pro-life or pro-choice. Leaving everything on the map. So what is the question? What do you have for me? How do we end the corruption? We don't kill them. We destroy the system. We change the system. We bring down the goddamn system.
You win. You win, bro. You win. Okay? Time start winning. No more losing, all right? No more losing. The coalition, man, I'm telling you, yeah? That's why we're putting it all together.
Well, greetings. This is seeming all the more strange. Trying to, figure out how a normal person would figure this out and be like, this guy's, I'm gonna vote for this guy, the guy that goes on some pilgrimage to his daughter's grave in the middle of the night, some spooky tale of darkness. Woo! Anyway, I'm nervous, man. I am. I don't know what I could do. I have all kinds of weird ideas and stupid stuff and things I want to say and things I want to, ask for forgiveness for, and just see, what kind of partnership the living and the dead have. I mean, what are we here for? I was on Y for 49 and a half years. And now I'm on How. I'm on How. And I have a plan. I'm sorry. It doesn't end like Mein Kampf. That's for sure. At least it's better than hopefully I read the end. People save your life. You owe them. I mean, you don't really owe them, but I mean, kind of. So, a lot of people have saved my life. A lot. My family first. Millions of times. Gazillions of times. Jillions. All of them. Yeah, that's the truth. So we'll see. So here I am. Some weird light flashing. It's considered to be Northern Boulevard, where George Washington once. Sources. It's my angel's home. Baby, right? Can't even read it. Roslyn Cemetery. Someone lives on these properties, private ground. Roslyn Cemetery, 18
1860. Interesting. The election of 1860 had somewhat of an impact on our thing. What does it say? Designated landmark town of Hempstead. Roswell Cemetery, I can't read it. Plots and single graves available. Wonderful, 8 to 5. Apparently they're not 8 to 5. My mom would say they're closed right now. I, however, would beg to differ. Couple of lights, couple of flickers, couple of flashers, couple of scary goblins. So Anna, my dear soul, connected through time. I just wait here while committing no crime. You see, the answers are not mine or mine alone, but a dictate commanded from the throne, who offers freedom and free will and choice and forgiveness as its only voice. So love your neighbor and love your enemy thrice, into the day we hear thee survive. But when at last we cast our last dying breath, as my daughter did at her own bequest, take the truth, the once setting sun, and lay your hope in the things yet begun. So take this tale as a twisted witch who finds her sorrow in every inch. You see the way through light and time is only possible if we commit to thine. Now my will here is forever lost. And in the answer, surely I will pay the cost. But if it's sorrow, whether through promise or all that we begin, I dig again beneath the soil, for here I come to pledge my oil deep down with my own flesh and blood. The angels here, forever done. So in my grandparents, your star is wrapped and sent, and to which I follow. Here's all I meant. Just a promise to do my best. Just a man about to be put to the test. No one knows. I refuse to answer any questions that might incriminate me. I refuse. That's right. Let's go get him. We're only doing 97. We got Mattthew Christopher Mannix falling asleep at the wheel as we speak. Mattthew, why are you going on this trip?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
This is fucking DC part 2. Remember when I was fucking 8, falling asleep? It was gonna be me now.
Oh, boo-hoo. I brought you to see Barack Hussein Obama become the first great president of the United States of America. You should be proud that I brought you there. Come on, seriously, Matt. You were at the Barack.
We will remember that there's something happening in America. That we are not as divided as our politics suggest. That we are one people. That we are one nation. And together we will begin the next great chapter in the American story with 3 words that will ring from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea. Yes, we can. Yes, we.
All right, folks, here we roll. The sun is about to rise. We are heading south on 95. Or are we on 95? Who knows? We're on a road. What Google tells us to do, we do. We don't ask questions. If it tells us to run into the river, we go into the river. We follow the automation blindly like so many of us. Addicted to our attention, getting phones, the dopamine indicators that's triggered. Soon we will be there for just a few short hours. To Stratford Hall, once again, the plans have changed. Thank God we're not going to be at the cemetery at night, I don't think. Although we might be there tonight, depending on how long we sleep or don't sleep. So, Mattthew, any words of advice?
So we also have universal basic income. As Ching, I'm sure you remember, Andrew's big policy, what he popularized was Scott Santon's universal basic income, which is a freedom dividend because, quite frankly, the machines are taking our jobs. If you say, okay, Google, talk to Brian Mannix for Congress, and I'm sorry if I just alerted your Google to talk to me, but that's right, it's probably just triggered up. But you can talk to my robot for hours, folks. It's insane. We need to make a 21st century government. The last part.
He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the rights of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only.
He has called together legislative bodies and
it's kind of, it's kind of the annoying thing where we are still sort of on the starting line waiting for the gun to go off. That way we can start running with it.
It's gonna be fun.
None of these roads have any signs.
That's signs. I said pull to the side.
I know, I said sides. None of these roads have any signs.
We're on the side right now. The
Yeah,
side's
this
over
isn't the
there.
road. It's only because this person's
Can
driveway.
you turn around to the place?
It's not around, it's right here.
This is it?
I think so.
Where, that thing?
I don't know. It's on the corner of these two, so it's either here.
I think it's where I said originally, which is the driveway community of light musicians. Exit one way. Now, I'm fairly certain that's where we just were.
You're what, sir?
Fairly certain.
There's the other place in the middle of the gated village.
Actually,
Baby, you were just lost.
We videotape a thing like I'm recording this now. We can take clips of this conceivably and say this is a meeting. They're taking over. Here it is. They can show a clip performance like this, and I can. I don't even know where this thing goes, but whatever. The point is, if we're interviewing someone, we could use that as a piece that we could share on social media. That the digital natives integer program, the bigger it is, the better we're going to be on social media. And if they can edit some of these clips, they can, put these clips out if we do interview a Ukrainian.
Good times and bad, futures and past. But now there's no way.
So, Matt, so when it comes to politics, how do you fall on the political spectrum? Have you always felt more left wing than right wing, middle, and what issues to you are the most important? What is sort of your political passion when it comes to, as you said, passively, but of course, you're watching the news, of course, I'm guessing. What are your sort of political points of view, or what kind of drives you in terms of having interest in politics from the get-go?
So I'm definitely consider myself leftist of sorts. I'm more, I would say, libertarian rather than authoritarian when it comes definitely to social issues and things like that. But I would say that even though I do consider myself more on the further left side of the political spectrum, there's definitely other issues where I try to look at every single issue like objectively and like try to decide point by point rather than just like going off based on every other thing that I'm supposed to believe being in this sort of camp. You know what I mean? It's like I really think that we have an issue in this country where people just kind of are adept to like just believing the things that they hear from whether it's their news source or whatever it is. So I definitely would say that I fall left leaning on most issues, but there are definitely certain I'm more open-minded and try to hear the other perspective. Well, I try to hear the other perspective with every issue. It's just a matter of agreeing with it.
So in other words, it's all games and ridiculousness. Representative Jeffries is a part of that, quite frankly. He's been a congressman for 11 years. For 9 years rather. He raised $18 million. He's gotten 7 bills passed into law, 2 of which just benefited 2 families, 3 of which were like adding a random weird language to like that most people haven't heard of to a veterans website. I mean, again, these aren't bad things. But if you're a congressman for 9 years, I expect you to do more than add one language to a website. I expect you to solve the problems of the people. So in terms of Andrew Yang, I'm a solutions guy. I'm a problem solver. That's all I'm in it for. In other words, my whole campaign, and hopefully Andrew Yang would appreciate this, is I'm not going and asking people, are you Democrat or you Republican? I'm running. I'm in the general already. I don't have to run the primary. I don't have to win the primary. That's the beauty of it. Right. And that would be the beauty if we had open primaries for everyone. And that goes to Jeremy Gruber, who's the man, the myth, who is part of openprimaries.org, which is a great organization if you want to get involved. But anyway, Andrew Yang, hopefully he will support me. I certainly think I am the most qualified forwardist candidate probably in the country. I served as an elected public official in my town, my hometown, or not my hometown, my adult hometown, my children's hometown of Seacliff, the village of Seacliff. Wonderful, wonderful place.
In Congress, July 4th, which is July 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitled them to. Is that a Native American reference? A transcendent God or an immanent God? That's one you gotta roll on, right? We're all Native Americans, aren't we? Oh, we didn't learn something from Ben Franklin, right? Choosing the Iroquois Confederacy as the model for the Articles of Confederation. Sorry. I'm angry. It's ridiculous. They leave out women. They have slaves. Yes, we live through the same ridiculousness today, right? Some of us have great wealth and some of us have great power, but most of us fucking don't! So we're gonna sit around and say we can't change it, or let's vote for Joe Biden or Hakeem Jeffries and do the same thing we've been doing forever and hope that eventually one day the Republicans that are, you know, the evil Republicans as well as the evil Democrats, right? There are some, the difference between the institutional Republicans and the institutional Democrats is most of the institutional Democrats are not evil. And while I don't think anyone's truly evil, I don't believe, maybe they are. But a lot of the Republicans have lost their way. A lot of the Republicans are traitors right now, as I believe Donald Trump is, former President Trump. I believe him to be a traitor to the United States of America. I believe every Republican who has aided and abetted him, including Mitch McConnell, every sitting Republican in the House and Senate is a traitor, right? That who hasn't stood up, back to life. All right, folks, here we are going to
turn left on Stratford Hall Road.
The dramatic task ahead of us is removing the grip of our fossil fuel industries, as well as every business that has undue influence on the policymakers of the United States and around the world.
Well, when I surrendered to God in Glen Cove, when I gave my life over to God and finally surrendered, feeling checkmated after I felt stalemated in Charleston, right? I felt stalemated, so I gave it to God. You feel stalemated, a normal person gives it to God. When I was in Charleston, I felt it was a stalemate, so I surrendered to God because it was a tie. Then, a few months later, or a few years later, I was checkmated by God. So I went to Glen Cove, and I went to my little prayer spot in John Sawmill Park over by the now desecrated ferry sign by some malignant graffiti artist who's responsible for that crime. We will never know, that's for sure. The arrow indicating that perhaps there's no ferry. Anyway, an aside, alas, I surrendered to God in the park on a Monday, walked after 9/11, walked to the water, which is not too far away, and decided to disrobe and basically baptized myself. I dunked myself underwater in a freezing cold water and took a swim. I didn't get totally naked because there was a woman watching, as there usually is, or someone in the background like there is now. And the truth is, I came out of the water and had my clothes and I was freezing, and here was this tennis ball sitting there. When I didn't see it in the beginning because believe me, I was scoping the beach, and I didn't see the tennis ball. Anyway, this tennis ball was there. Wilson number 2. That's what I say. This song is called This My America. My name is Eddie Singh. Is this still our America? That's a question you're gonna have to answer. Vote Brian Mannix for Forward, a new path forward. Brian Mannix for Congress, New York's 8th district in the House of Representatives. I want your vote, and I want your help to fulfill the needs of every district, of every resident in District 8 as a model for fulfilling the needs of every district in this whole nation. It's time for us to stop doing what we've been doing. Left and right, black and white, Republican and Democrat no longer works. Get me? We need a third path. And there is one, with Andrew Yang, the Forward Party, and me, Brian Mannix. Good night. Here we are approaching the Lee House Road. I don't know if this is the grounds, or I think it's many, many acres. So this could be the beginning of the road. Mattthew and I are both exhausted. Mattthew is like barely hanging on for dear life. I just can barely keep my eyes open, and we are tired. So we're planning on getting some quick 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours, waking up, taking the tour, and then going to the cemetery tonight instead of tomorrow. Action shots. Ching Jewel would be ecstatic with my filmmaking prowess.
Where do we go now?
Yeah, it does. What does that say?
Authorized vehicles or plates.
Certainty, the Mannix for Congress campaign is calling for the creation of a national Manhattan Project-style organization for climate change that will be composed of scientists in every segment of environmental pollution to work on bold, innovative, and yet undiscovered ways to remove
the carbon that is permanently trapped in the Earth's atmosphere. The Climate Change Challenge Project will gather scientists, business leaders, and urban planners to come up with dramatic 21st century technological solutions to attempt to reduce the existing carbon in the air. We have to organize, educate, ideate, and finance efforts to limit fossil fuel emission, environmental degradation, as well as disincentivize with both monetary and criminal charges for those that break the laws which protect the only habitat that we have to call home.
Let's do it. This is going to be the best ever. Is it still on?
Yeah.
Alright, I can't wait. I'm so nervous, which is ridiculous because there's no reason for me to be nervous. Me and my dead grandparents, I'm pretty sure. Well, luckily it's not night, and good thing we're not Harry Potter fans. Anyway, I'm nervous. I'm going to now go on Station Head, I think. We're probably going to go Station Head. Live app, great app for DJs, but great apps. Clubhouse would be great for this too.
Today, the 11-year-old at the breakfast table is an authority on this digital revolution that's changing business, commerce, government, learning, publishing, entertainment, diplomacy, every institution in society. You know, Mark Bearline and this whole The Dumbest Generation, this has got nothing to do with our kids dumb or smart. It's about power. It's about who gets to control the dissemination of information and the communication of knowledge. And the old power structures are being broken down by a new medium and a new generation for whom that medium is like the air.
One example of skill might be judgment, where you find some information online and you need to be able to decide whether that information is reliable or not.
Imagine that king type of bed. We stayed in a bed and breakfast once that had a huge king size bed like that. It's crazy. No, I know. But I think it was a king size where we stayed.
Is that even full?
I think it might even be it's a queen, I think. It might be a full. Right, it's close.
Yeah, I think it
might be in between. The leaves. Look at this. Looks like Grandpa. That's Grandpa's chair. Look at it. Look at it! It's beautiful. Look at this. Look at this picture, man. Absolutely gorgeous. Wow. Look at this. Holy moly. Wow. Oh, look at this grounds. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, Matt, the view is going to be unbelievable. Oh, look at that gorgeous thing. There's my son. That's a great photo.
So tell us a little bit about your platform as a forwardist.
Okay, so first let's talk about the forward parties and what are the six central core tenets, because that's what drew me in, and I wouldn't be running if it weren't for that. So let's begin with that. And again, so I'm running as a candidate, but I'm not running against another candidate, Ching. As I see it, I'm running against the system and the broken system and the two-party nature of it, right? And so what we're doing with the Forward Party is we have six core tenets that we're trying to get Democrats and Republicans alike to consider and to agree to adopt. The first and most important is open primaries and ranked choice voting. And what that means is right now, Ching, I believe it's 83% of the seats that are up for election are safe seats. So what that means, people who are in New York City know this, whoever wins the primary, the Democratic primary that is, if you're a Republican, you basically have no vote. Whoever wins the Democratic primary in New York City for mayor wins the whole election. And so what happens in America and in our situation right now is that 12% of the people And it's people like me, so we're rah-rah politics, but it's also some cuckoos a little bit or a little too extreme. And people who just, so the politicians have to gear themselves to that extreme, and that's a big problem. And if we made open primaries where you could vote for anyone, and instead of a Republican, or in other words, if I'm a Democrat, you're only allowed to vote in the Democratic primary. If you're a Republican, in most states, if you're a Republican, you can only vote in the Republican primary. Therefore, if you're a Republican in New York State or New York City, and you're voting for the Republican primary, it doesn't matter at all. Because the Democratic guy is going to win, most likely, because it's a safe seat. There's more Democrats than Republicans in New York. So,
What's going on? They said they think it's tear gas. So I waited for about 10 seconds, and then that's when I began to smell the aroma of the
so you smelled it in your house?
Yeah,
in your house?
On the front porch.
Okay, but still.
I seen my neighbors.
Front porch of your house, you're smelling tear gas. What did that feel like? Did you feel like you were in America at that point?
No, I didn't, because I ain't never smelled tear gas. I ain't never been laced with pepper spray. Never smelled tear gas.
Seriously, what went through your mind? When you smelled that, what was the first thing that went through your mind? What was the first thought you had?
War zone. I'm 2 streets away from me.
Scary. Were you scared?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And not only that, at that time, I put on my shoes and I was ready to walk down Solway. I seen the riot police right there. They wouldn't let you off the street. So it's like kind of being in captive, being an adult. My mom never told me.
That's why the police overuse their clout. A grandma said don't fear another man will, but they'll shoot with nothing in my hand. See the media so bad part, and they blocking out the good. It's a sad part. Make some noise!
Make some noise out there!
Way to get out of the door.
If you could be any less
Society, but since my skin darker thug by notoriety and treated justifiably, turn into propriety. We act more defiantly. Men tell me that ain't irony. So many accusations because of our melanation. The complications we facing, the verdicts are made by racists. I'm just the product of my nation.
Sorry, like which will be said here. Probably not. We might be on private property, but I don't know where this is. No, it's somewhere. It's not here. It's at the pool. Alright, so we're done. It's not here unless they buried it up. Look through. It's that they did. It's gotta be somewhere. That's sure. Sorry, sir. Let's ask them, bro. Matt, let's ask the guy. Richard Henry Lee is buried. The map says quick right here, but obviously do the map for
you know what? It's called Birdhouse Point because there's a house at the end of where you turn off. Used to be a house right there in the corner where there's a big old rotted tree.
Is that right?
The house they tore down was a house around it, an old house. But I don't know if it was cemetery. Not that I've been here 35 years.
Here we are, going to Trump Case. Now, if I had an accoutrement on me, I'd leave. Right? And I bet I do. I got Reagan in my pocket, I'm pretty sure. I got... Do I have Reagan? Why would I have Ronald Reagan? Like this. inflation is as high as Hunter Biden, at least they have a large sense of humor. Right? I mean, that is a serious sense of humor. Right? So, what I'm going to do, hopefully there's no explosive device near here. I'm going to put this here.
It's in this field. I don't know if this is someone's house or not, but
It's alright, we can go and knock if we have to, but we're just going to go in. If you don't want to come, tell me now. Matt, you have to tell me now before we enter the crossroads. Yes or no?
Here or further down?
Straight ahead. Like I said before, straight ahead. It's behind this house. You don't think it is?
No trespassing. Alright, look, I'm not driving.
Alright, I'll walk down then. It's fine. Matt, I'm coming here. If you don't want to come with me, that's fine.
It says
Can you please?
no trespassing in their own sign. It's not like,
Bro, what's your problem? Alright, can I have that phone, please? Can I have that phone, please?
They probably have a fucking AK.
Okay, I'm sure they have an AK. I'm sure there's a phone between there. Can you please grab it for me? So I don't know what to do. I'm in the back of a cemetery, which is not Burnt House offering. It's not the right one. And the truth is, I don't know what to do. So I'm just gonna, we may not ever find the actual grave. But this was found, as you remember, in my daughter's grave when I went back there and I put it there. So for the Lees, divided, right? For the ones who are on the right and in the right, and for the ones who are on the left and in the right. Let's not move left and not right. Think about the dead and what matters, like the trees and the you know, the families and the people, you know, and whoever lives in that house, which is spectacular. But the truth is, I'm gonna leave this here because I don't know what else to do. So maybe someone will find it. Maybe someone will play. I don't want to dig up or anything. Maybe it's baby. I'm gonna leave this here for the little headstone in the front. Okay. Guide me, please. Your family. Please guide me. Let's get you in the background here. Father or Mother Newton. Alright. I hope I'm making the right move here. You know what? I'm gonna bury it.
So this is a love song.
Outside the cemetery.
Symbolic form about a girl who left me. Maybe it was you. Out there listening. Maybe it wasn't a girl at all. Maybe it was a brother or a friend. Maybe it was a father or a son.
The name. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. May music shine your soul.
Front, flat out. Turns around and walks the other way and says they're never coming back.
May my daughter's harmonica and my harmonica.
It's my choice.
And I left to my daughter's grave, asking her for guidance. Find answers somewhere. Hopefully leaving this harmonica for some spirit, or some kid, or somebody who eventually just find the truth. Close as I can get. Edward C. Norton III, Captain, U.S. Army, World War II. May 25th, 1916 to April 1st, 1998. Mr. Navy 30, thank you for your service. Savage almost in the reading of the Declaration of Independence for the man whose symbolic gift of a harmonica I just placed at a random grave of the family of a captain, an officer in World War II. Someone who fought, and then later, or maybe during battle, I didn't see the death date, or I don't remember, died. So the truth is, once again, the truth is, we don't know what the truth is. But we sure as heck try to find it out. And then when we're sure we did, whether it's some guy named Tony, someone else named Tommy, it seems like occasionally the truth is a little different. Take us out to the story. How you doing, sir? Too much. How you feeling? Alright, you ready to get out of here? So, it seems like the trip is over. I'm pretty freaking psyched. I'm more than satisfied with everything that happened. Had a nice time with my son, most importantly. I had just a really great overall trip. And I'm just happy that the Anna thing was what I was most worried about. To be honest, filming that just emotionally and God forbid what might happen in a cemetery at night. It just kind of, maybe I'm superstitious, but it seems like the dead might be still around in spirit. Through the Holy Spirit or through the Holy Ghost or whatever, literally, right? So who knows? But I certainly know. I believe, right? That's what it is. If you think you know, then you're not really believing. In other words, you have to not know to believe. In other words, you have to take a leap of faith. In other words, there's no mathematical proof that God exists. It's like there's no mathematical proof that love exists. So you gotta just either believe it or not. And some people believe it. Some people believe in make other people believe, which I think is the worst thing you could ever do. Right? Trying to force someone to see your perspective or your life or how you found God or whatever. That makes no sense. Preaching or acting as God would, or Jesus would, or Muhammad would, or any religious person, to the best, they're all men. Even Jesus was a man. There's put yourself in somebody else's shoes. That's the wrong thing to do. What you should do is act as if you're that person and then be in their shoes. That's much different. And I learned that lesson, thank God, only a few short months ago, or if that, a few short weeks ago. Anyway, forward is Brian Mannix, signing off.
The last part and most important, and maybe should be said first, is that we deal with everyone with a sense of grace and humility and tolerance for those that disagree with us. That has been lost, not by Hakeem Jeffries, but by the system that I'm running against, the system that Hakeem Jeffries frankly represents. And I'm running as a Fordist candidate. I have plenty, I can talk for hours, and I'd like to about my own platform, but that's the core tenet of the Ford Party. That's the core tenet of me. Three things that I'm focused on. You always leave one out. There's always the environment, right? Because if we lose the earth, obviously there's no point in any policy if we have no earth. But I'm focused a lot on homelessness and on the educational system, as well as right now, the situation in Ukraine and defending the Ukrainian people and their independence.
So, who are you against? Are there a lot of candidates right now for this position?
Well, there's not that many, and right now, because I am an independent. I left the Democratic Party officially after the Ford Party formed, and they literally, to their credit, they said don't do that. In other words, they don't want people doing that because they're not formed as a party yet. Well, I'm a little too impatient. I don't know how many years I have left. I don't know how many years the country has left, quite frankly, with all of the authoritarian talk and with all of the near civil war yet banter that's in the air, and not to mention the world war, which is happening and we're in the middle of right now. We are at a great moment in American history, and I, as the 6th great grandson of Richard Henry Lee, the man that proposed this country, want to make sure that this country is what it ought to be, and that's more so towards the ideals of the Declaration of Independence than what we have right now with the two-party system where you either have to choose left or right, black or white, right? We're not all that way. We're all red, white, black, and blue, and that's it.
So we have a big problem with the United States government, right? And that's part of this thing, because I have a problem with myself. And it's not like every day I sit there and I'm like, oh, my great-grandfather proposed the country and had slaves. What a, hypocritical thing. And I sit there every day and ruminate about it. And I don't, but I have thought about it, certainly. And it struck me more and more as I learned more and more as the Lee's role in the slavery of this country, my family's role in bringing the slaves to this country, and how integral it was to the fact that we have slaves in this country. My family, in my opinion, is somewhat directly responsible. But they're also directly responsible that we have freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And in fact, the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Henry Lee, his first proposal before the House of Burgesses in Virginia, way before he proposed the Declaration that we break free, was that we outlaw slavery. Right? That was his first proposition. So then I was like, yes! I'm like, Richard Henry Lee's the myth. Robert E. Lee can go fuck himself. Why? Because he left the Union. And the Union at that point wasn't the cause of slavery, against slavery. It wasn't. That's bullshit. Lincoln used that as a tool to manipulate the powers that be so that we'd look like good guys. When the North was just as responsible for slavery as the South, had their hands washed clean of it, didn't look like they were in any way involved, but made all the fucking money from it. So you're telling me that's almost like a mafia thing, where the guy, like in Breaking Bad, where the guy's like the chicken shop and he goes and smiles and is given all kinds of awards, and he belongs to all kinds of country clubs, and you think he's a great, sweet person, and then suddenly you realize, oh my God, perhaps there was more to the story. Perhaps the Breaking Bad guy is actually running drugs. Perhaps the reason he goes to the police meetings is not because he's on the side of the police. It's because you keep your enemies closer than your friends, if you're smart. And what does that say about Mattthew sitting next to me, who was scratching his head and saying, am I an enemy or am I a son? Hopefully a little bit of both. Alright, if you're smart. Anyway, because I'm not right all the time, and I'm obnoxiously determined. As is he sometimes. As is my whole family, which is, again, a blessing and a curse. Well, folks, I'm coughing. I'm choking. I'm sniffling. I'm tired. I'm old. But I'm on the way home. Long journey. But I'm on the way home. Finally.